Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Much better. Welcome to the City of Bellflower's 2022 State of the City Luncheon and Program. My name is Sunny Santa Ines. I'm very proud to serve as the Mayor Pro Tem of the great City of Bellflower. We appreciate you coming today for this program as we look back at the many changes that happened over the years. In a few moments from now, Mayor Ray Dundon will be giving us a brief recap of what has happened in 2022, which is very exciting, and a glimpse of what's to come in 2023 and beyond, which is even more exciting. This year, we're continuing our focus on the resurgence of our community. We have seen immense progress already this past year, and we're truly excited for what is yet to come. Before I get started, I'd like to invite Public Safety Commissioner Alan Morse to join me at the podium. Mr. Morse will lead us in the invocation. Please rise.
Told Sonny you almost gave me a promotion there. Yeah, let's pray. Lord, thank you for improvement, progress. Thank you for leadership with transparency. Thank you for a city that loves and encourages and serves. But most of all, Lord, just thank you for loving us. Lord, we pray that you would just give us a great day and celebrate the victories. Help us to come together on the division and what separates us. And Lord, there's nothing greater than your love. We ask you to bless this food and our time together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing. I'd like to invite Parks and Recreation Commissioner Mitchap to lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, to be followed immediately with the national anthem to be sung by the Bellflower High School Vocal Ensemble.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our great nation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Bellflower High School Vocal Ensemble. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Mitch. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to recognize some of our guests who are with us today. Let me just tell you that in my book, all of you are special. But I'd like to introduce people who are extra special. From the Bellflower City Council, my colleague, Mayor Ray Dunn, Councilmember Dan Cruz, Councilmember Ray Namada, and Councilmember Pedro Sanchez. We also have former Bellflower City Mayor Scott Lawson. Also joining us today is our very supportive Los Angeles County Supervisor, Janice Hahn. Along with the Deputy Nicole Giacomiso. Joining us today from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Captain Dan Hogan. All the members of the sheriffs, please stand up to be recognized. Joining us today from the Los Angeles County Fire Department is Deputy Fire Chief Mike Enman and Assistant Fire Chief William Bayfield. All the members of LA County, please stand up to be recognized. Thank you for your service. Additionally, I'd like to recognize the members of the Bellflower Unified School District, Dr. Sue L. Hessen, Reverend Thomas Ivans, and Mr. Richard Downey, and Assistant Superintendent Selena Hogan. Thanks so much for joining us. Also, with representatives from the Cerritos College, we have, not yet, Mr. Jose Fierro is here, Board Member Maurice Perez. We also have representatives from our neighbors downstairs, our beloved Los Angeles County Fire Museum Association. Please stand up to be recognized. We also have representatives from my #1 Chamber of Commerce in Bellflower, the Bellflower Chamber of Commerce. We also have my favorite Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Development Board and their staff, led by Executive Director Yolanda Castro. I would like also to recognize some of our key staff. Our City Manager, Jeff Stewart. Our City Clerk, Marla Chico. Assistant City Attorney, Tim Campbell. Deputy City Attorney, Joaquin Vasquez. Assistant City Manager and Public Works Director, Len Gorecki. Public Safety Director, Joel Hoffman. Economic Development Director, Jim Demalonga. Public Situation Director, PJ Malana. Finance Director, Tay Reed. Planning and Human Service Director, Ms. Elizabeth Corpus. Thank you so much for joining us. And I see Dr. Jose Fierro joining us from the President of Cerritos College. Thank you, Dr. Fierro. We also would like to recognize all the city officials, commissioners, and community organizations who are here today. We appreciate you taking the time for your busy schedule to join us this morning. I am very proud to be a member of the Bellflower team, composed of the 5-member City Council, the City Manager, the City Attorney, the City Clerk, and the rest of the staff. This team is very cohesive, very effective. We get a lot of things done. And as you can see, there's so much progress in the city. But before I get carried away, and steal the thunder from the mayor, let me introduce him. It's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce a colleague of mine, a man I'm proud to call a friend. Someone who cares deeply about this community and who has done a wonderful job as mayor this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mayor Ray Dunn. Thank you.
got the team like Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santinas was just saying. It's not just the electeds, it's staff. There's more to just getting work done. It's a team effort. Way down to the regular employees. And it took this whole atmosphere of the City Hall to get everything done. I'm going to show you. It's going to be pretty exciting. Bellflower has a lot of things in the works. We have stuff under construction. We have stuff planning. We have stuff, pipeline. You look back at other cities around and you go, wow, they don't have nothing like what we've done. And it wasn't very long ago, well, 25 years ago, the sense that Bellflower was dying at one point. There were so many open closed stores, storefronts, and the complaint that I noticed was the windows were dirty because there was no business there. And it didn't look good. And it took a long time to swing the pendulum back. And it's not one person, it's the team, it's the mindset. And so it's getting along. And I'm going to get in and show you today why and where we're at today and what the future can bring. With that said, if you look on your table, there's a blue coin. It's called a challenge coin. Anybody don't know what a challenge coin is? It's something that started with the military and law enforcement or whatever. Now it's electeds got it. Every year we used to do pins with the council's name and the mayor, and that was pretty cool. You get to give out your pins with your name on it or whatever. Well, now we do this. Councilmember Coos decided to change what we do and came out with the first challenge coin last year, and I followed suit. And it's kind of cool. The mayor gets kind of somewhat design it and whatnot. If you look at there's a car on there, and that's my pride and joy. It's a 1970 Model T, which the car is like 105 years old and works. But me being a car guy, that's what I chose. But enjoy the coins that are on your table today. Take them home and go that route. But this, back when I told you that Bellflower was at one point dying about 25 years ago, we started working on things, like say 2007, that was our milestone. That's 50 years Bellflower's been around and been incorporated. And at that point in time, if you were lucky enough to find a business open downtown, you could go, I want to go trade with that business, and you get a parking space right in front of that business. And which don't happen today. You go to the mall and everyone wants that close, there's people who drive around for a while to get that front closed parking space. And it wasn't long. A little bit of things were changing, we got new businesses coming to town. And then what happened is you couldn't get that front row parking space in front of that business. You might get the front row. So that's pretty cool. You get the front row, you get a little more people walking around. And then it wasn't long, the council got to work, we're bringing on nice things to the town or whatever. And then it was realized that the council had a parking problem downtown. And we said, wow. There was a time when every one of us on the council would preach, God, I just wish we had a parking problem. I would like, people to complain to us that, we had a parking problem. And am I right, guys? and we didn't have a parking problem, but they kept to the point when people were complaining about parking. This parking lot over here was full, and then we had I don't know how many times we changed the no parking signs or the time limit signs on it. And then people started getting tickets because they were parked there too long. And so now we caused another problem. And then we saw the need that, well, we got to find parking somewhere. So this parking structure over here got built and solved our parking problem. Well, I don't know about you, but how many people park in the parking structure today? How many people didn't get to park on the first floor? I know I'm one of them. I was on the third floor. So when you go to a parking structure, the mindset, anywhere, you want to park on the first floor. Nobody wants those stairs. But you go to the hospital parking structure, oh yeah, I got to go up there or whatever. But that's what Bellflower is. Well, we got 2 more floors and then we can have another parking problem, is what I'm saying. And with that, I'd like to just get into the main event, so to speak, this PowerPoint presentation here. Everybody, thank you for coming to the 2022 State of the City. You know, it's going to be very informative. Without money, you ain't going to get much done. And there was a time when Bellflower was pretty poor, and I'm going to show you some neat stuff today. So, this is the pie chart of our discretionary versus restricted funds. Discretionary is everything in the general fund that we can just spend it on anything, like, you know, salaries, hourly wages, employees, and stuff like that, and without restrictions. The other is, you got grants, you got federal money, CBD money, or whatever, and that's it. So that's what the breakdown is. Revenue sources, you got to find out where the money's coming in. All the money that we get now is 70%. The 70% in taxes is a big chunk. That used to be much smaller, you know, in the slides. I'll show you why. But take a look at that, and that's where every dollar we get comes from. I don't want to spend too much time on that. The general fund reserves. This is an interesting chart here where purple, the revenues are $52.5 million. That's what we got in COVID money. There's an addition of 7.2, which the federal government gave wonderful money to a lot of cities during COVID time. Our take was 7.2 million to Divya to help things work and whatnot. Had we not got that money, we'd be at, you know, 45.3. That's where we expect to continue. That's where we're going to settle. But as you can see, our revenues prior to the pandemic in 18-19 years was already shooting up. We're already figuring out what we needed. That was like bringing business back. Our taxes or you know, property taxes are going up. So when the property values go up, we get a little more, you know, get more shopping, we get more money. Bellflower's housing, median housing price for Bellflower is just $750,000 just about. And those tax bills that people pay on that kind of money is one of the revenue sources that we have, and we do very well. And I think everybody knows how pretty self-explanatory about housing pricing. This here is property tax distribution. For every dollar that the city takes in out of the 10.75%, we get 1.75%, which averages out to 6.66 cents. I hate that number, but that's just the truth. We thought about taking it out, but we've been preaching this for a long time. But that's what we get. So under the dollar, you know, LA County, which does a lot of work, they get 48 cents of that dollar. Schools take 45. Well, we get the rest, you know, and whatnot. But that's what you get for every penny in dollar that we for tax, sales tax. This I want to spend some time with. This is the cool chart. This is the chart that everyone on the council is very proud. We have took a long time to get here. Go back to 2007. Things were good. The economy was cooking before the crash. Our general fund is 9.4, and the 8 million across the board. That is our emergency reserves. If there was a major earthquake and it leveled the Bellflower, you would dip into that to do things, or say there was a, God bless, a big fire or something in Burma. It's for the natural disasters or anything bad like that that happen. You always want to keep that in the bank. As you can see, we never dipped below it. The green is the available that we have. And then it's 07, it was there. And then as the economy crashed in 8, 9, it continued, you think it took a dip and whatnot. And then we got to 14 and 15. And that was general fund dip down. And the operating surplus was 580. But it lowered in the economic development programs that capital progress at that time was the main event center that we're in. I'm a businessman, and we have businessmen on the council. You have to spend money to get ahead. I'm a guy that's always at my life is always to take one step back to get to ahead. this is what happened. And we spent some money, got this place here. We also we had some lawsuits that we had to recover from. You can only budget for certain things. We do a 2-year budget, and if something happens in the second year, you just regroup. We had the district, we're in election districts now, and somebody wanted to sue the city, and instead of instead of fighting them, we settled out of court or whatever. It just saves the taxpayers money. We could have been in a lawsuit and fought it. We might have won, but guess what? It might have cost $1.5 million. We were in no position to jeopardize any of our money that we had. And then, so now we're looking along here. We got past 14, 15, and then it's creeping back up. And then we started adding these red tops to these bars. It's a new thing. What that is property acquisition. We decided at one point in time that the city has a lot of out-of-town landlords, a lot of properties that everybody thinks is worth way more than it is. So we chose to start buying it and controlling some of the things that we thought would be a good project at one point. So we bought, there used to be another red dot there, which would be the old Thompson Furniture Building that was right behind us. That was bought, it was one of the first parcels we bought, and then it was sold. So when it's sold, the money goes back into the general fund. But the reason we have that there is because property's like cash. It's an asset. And it's basically, we're holding on something for a developer. We found out a long time ago that developers don't really want to talk to you unless you got your act together. And there was 25 years ago, Bellflower really didn't have its act together. When a developer talks to us now, they see you have a council that is reasoning with them. For the developer, before they even come, they could spend $50,000, $100,000 on an idea, and if you have a council that shoots it down, it's not going to happen. So we're moving along. We got general fund that's starting to perk up. We've spent some money, okay. That's why we have red and green now, and it makes, if we didn't spend it, we all green. And now we got a little more coming, And then what happened in 20 and 21? As you can see, they're kind of spiked up. Well, we were forward thinkers back then. We put things on the ballot, whether it's right or wrong. We decided to let our residents decide, and that's when we brought cannabis to Bellflower. We actually put it out to the residents. You vote on it, yes or no, because the state's already done it. And it's coming if you like it or not, probably. So you can't beat them, join an attitude. And that's what we decided. And we spent a year figuring it out. I tell you what, myself, I'm sure my council colleagues we learned more about cannabis than anyone would want to know. And it's nothing I'll ever be able to put on a resume. But anyway, as you can see, the taxes that we took in back in 20 and 21, that's what that is, cannabis. And I'm going to get into that more of what we got. We'll have a whole slide dedicated to that. Well, then what happened here in 2021? As you can see, that big spike. Well, 2 years ago, we put something on the ballot called Measure M. And we went to the voters again because we knew we needed to get some more cash to be able to do one of the things in town. We asked the voters if they would approve a 3/4% sales tax increase. And they did, overwhelmingly. I think just close to 70%, which is shocking. They want a taxi, so I don't understand that. It worked. And that's what you see there. That there is not even a year. It started like in April and whatnot. And the good news is we estimated $4.5 million coming in revenue for the sales tax increase, and it turned out to be $5.5 million. With the sales tax revenue, it's not just all the businesses open, but there's another caveat to that. It's gas. Bellflower, for some reason, has a lot of gas stations in other cities. We sell a lot of gas. Well, one thing that's on gasoline is sales tax. So, used to be $3 a gallon gas, $6 a gallon gas, with a lot more sales tax on it, and it's coming. We don't have records yet for it because it's always 6 months behind to get that kind of stuff. But as gas creeps up, and that's part of it too, even though it was So we have that's $32 million right there, you know, compared to the $17.4 million in '07, which is a $15 million difference from '07 to now. Bellflower's doing it. It's not like we're wasting money. We're taking it. We don't have anything to spend it on. We want to be exactly perfect at what we use this cash for. We want to do better for the community and turn this around. But this is something that we all hang our hats on, is the finances of this. We have such a great finance department, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. Thank you. City share of 1.75, that's the sales tax I just talked to you about, distribution. The taxable sales, and 8.5 goes to the other taxing agencies. So whether the dollar, it's all whether the 10.5%, 10.75%, that's what happens. Okay. Sales tax revenue. So this goes again what I was showing you on that other bar chart. Back in 2007, just under 5 million. Today, 15.9 million. It's huge. Cannabis tax rates. We have 4 dispensaries. We kept it to 4 only. The dispensaries came down. We were actually getting 8.5% on the gross receipts. Also, the 1 3/4, or 1.75% is going a sales tax on top of that. As revenue. And then we have 2 manufacturers. Those are the ones that could be edibles or rub-ons or something like that. And we have distributors. We decided to let the distributors, our dispensaries, distribute to other cities because it's going to happen anyway. And we get 1% only on the gross receipts because if they were going to deliver to a neighboring city that doesn't sell cannabis, we wanted to capture that because we're going to do it anyway. And then we have 2 cultivators, and we don't do gross sales on that. The cultivators, we do the canopy, how big a plant can be actually in the building. So there's square feet of that. And over on the right, the green star, this is 3.1 million. The city council, when we went all through this, we estimated that we'll get $3 million a year from cannabis. And that's where we hit it. You know, a lot of times it's best guess. Well, that's where we're at. We got 3.1 million this year. Unemployment in Bellflower is a little higher than the county rate. As you can see there, not much, but it's more. I don't like that, but that's what it is. So this is an interesting chart. State Controller's Office ranks cities. All the cities, there's 423 cities in the state of California. And instead of showing you 400 cities and where we rank, we took some time shots out of that. And the neighborhood cities, how they rank. Cerrito was 71, so they're close to the top of the 400. Bellflower is 136 ranked out of those 400 cities. We're pretty good. You know, Lakewood and Paramount are ahead of us, but neighboring Norwalk and Downey and Long Beach are kind of way behind us. That just gives you a snapshot of what the State Controller's Office thinks. And if you look right here, this is Bellflower every year. This is our points. We have 79 3/4 points this year, well, and which is right here in the 1920. Well, we don't get the data right away. And 1819, well, you can see where it goes. It started at 70, 74, 75. So I expect next year we'd be in the 80s. So that's a hope. So 20 years of excellence. This is an award giving to our finance department. And Tay Ray is a very good director of that department. He has a great team. And I think he's been working here 30 years, but I don't think he was director for the all 30. So he's responsible for 28 years of receiving this. 28 years in a row of receiving this award. Okay, this is the good part of it. I got some down. Money part's the good part, but economic development, that's where I land. So here, this is Edgeway Downtown Project. This is that big building under construction that you came and saw if you were getting in the parking structure. Okay, there's going to be 91 high-end apartments. And people always say, apartments downtown. These apartments are high-end, like the most expensive apartments rent for like $3,500 a month. The apartments have dog showers, dog walks, a pool on the second floor that is resort level, business areas where you know the whole place gets Wi-Fi. Everybody has free Wi-Fi at all their units. Full conference rooms, you know, the typical weight rooms, because all those places that have it, and the amenities that come with that is amazing. Yesterday, Sunny and I actually walked in and went down the hall to the construction and had a little tour. It's pretty awesome. They all come with the washer and dryer and appliances and whatnot. And it's a great project. But as you can see, this slide here is the building behind it, and this is what's in front of it. I'm going to give you a flyby. We're going to do a little video here in a second. And basically, it's a little outdoor get-together area, patio, you can call it, some shops, some restaurants upstairs, something there. But this is an artist rendering. Let's pretty cool development, huh? And so that is scheduled to open summer of '23, I believe. You know, we know how construction schedules go, maybe a little later or whatever. But it's awesome. And anybody you know remembers this project was under design a long time ago before the pandemic. There was going to be 4 movie theaters there. And as we know what happened to the theater world, it's, you know, it took a hit. And, you know, we think they're not coming. And this is the replacement for the theaters. And, but pretty good trade, I think. So this is developments in progress here. This here is south end of town where Cedar and Bellflower come together on the east side, where there's a Starbucks over there anchoring what's called a food hall. And this is a picture of it in the ribbon cutting, and that's all I have. Okay. No video on this one. There's soon to be another tenant anchor coming right here. That building is not built yet, but the section of it is here with another anchor to be disclosed at a later date. There's a food hall's inside right here. There's a gentleman called Smoking Fire. There's one in Paramount, and he's coming in there. It's kind of a food hall that'll probably have a wine station, beer station, and some pizzas and stuff like that coming in. But great development. I'm like the second person in the history. Dan Coops over there, my elder, he's more of the history than I am. But on this site, there used to be a dairy called Luby's Dairy. And then there was a car wash, do-it-yourself spray car wash there. What's funny is back in high school, you get your card, and you know, and then that's where we kind of went over and watched it over there because you can do it yourself. And you know, those things are gone now. But we got a nice project coming in there, and it's good to see this kind of stuff that people want to invest in Bellflower. Developers think they can come to Bellflower, build something, and then of course it's all about making money and do a good project and quality. This here is a hotel that's getting built on Artesia Boulevard between Lakewood Boulevard and Downey, about mid-center just about. This is actually the first hotel ever built in Bellflower. What defines a hotel is you have inside hallways to the doors. If the door opens, then it's a hotel, whatever. But this is the first one of its kind here at Bellflower. This was supposed to come a long time ago before the pandemic. Pandemic hit, and that's what happened to the hotel business. There was supposed to be 2 of them on this site. There's still a chance to get the other one. they chose to go ahead. This is suites. This is something that contractors can come to town, and they're gonna work from out of state for a couple of weeks on a project. That's what they would do. They would live here for a couple of weeks to do their project, and that would be their house. It's got a little kitchen in it and whatnot. That's what they chose to do. And there's a regular rooms in there too, but it's called the Wood Spring Suites. And of course, our groundbreaking picture that was pretty awesome there. Okay, this here is the development. This is across from Bellflower development that had the Starbucks in that I told you earlier. This here is on Bellflower Boulevard on the west side of the street between Ramona and Cedar. So just directly across the street from the Starbucks. And we got a little flyby here on this thing also. And this is another project that just got approved a couple weeks ago at the council meeting. This here is a 7-Eleven gas station. It's a big giant 7-Eleven back here. Across the street, there's a real small 7-Eleven. They're actually going to move it over to the other side and put gas pumps in. Another gas station for Bellflower. They just keep coming. I don't like $6 a gallon gas just like you guys, but city government does, I guess. But anyway, I got a video here I want to play, and an overview of what's coming there. There's some fast food restaurants and whatnot, and let's see what we got. Where's the closest Sonic burger to us? A lot of people don't know. Is there one in Long Beach? Honey, is there one in Long Beach? My wife drives to Fullerton to go to the Sonic. Well, there's one in Long Beach. She's driving at Long Beach now. But anyway, Sonic Burger here, which is huge, to have their eyes on Bellflower. It's one of the larger ones to take up that space. So we're on the radar of them, obviously, to come to town. But that end of town is finally coming back, which is odd. Artesia and Bellflower, that intersection that we redid, is the highest traffic count at the intersection in the city. Why did it take that long to develop? I don't know, but it's we're making up time now. Okay, this here is a development in progress. We actually did a groundbreaking yesterday. This is a Butterfly Garden Park. We bought a sliver of unbuildable land adjacent to Lawn Boulevard as the bridge is there and you go over into Norwalk. Other side is Trabuco Street. And you can't build on it because it's got a lot of oil pipelines or gas high pressure lines underneath it. That's why you can't build there. It's always, that I can remember, was rental yard there. You can always rent something. And they had a trailer in there as an office. That's why. But we've all funded this. We bought the property, found a way to buy it. We bought it. And we spent the last couple of years trying to get money to build it, a grant. And we did. We got a grant to build it. And now we're going forward with it. Okay, this is another development, another add-on to a development. The Exchange, which is the first thing that pops south of Artesia on Bellflower Boulevard on the east side of the street, the old Penny's building. A gentleman bought that. Little story, Howard CDM is the company. He's the one that built Steelcraft. He was coming to town, doing, driving in to meet with staff and whatever, checking the sites, back and forth, and then one day he asked city manager or somebody, hey, what are you doing with that building? What's that building on there? I like that building. I gotta look for some corporate offices. And he always saw something in old junky buildings and takes them back to their bones and says, they're good bones. Well, that building, he ended up buying it because he said, what are you going to do with it? And, well, we're going to demo it in 2 weeks. We're already doing remediation on asbestos. And he says, wait. And met with council and ended up stopping the wrecking ball from coming a couple weeks later and bought it. This is what it looks like today. And he's got his corporate offices in there, and the second floor is shared office space. And where you can rent an office, rent a receptionist, rent a boardroom kind of a thing, and called Iron Fire. And now his vision was to put a restaurant and a brewery or something in it. Well, the pandemic hit, that stopped. Well, today he has a company called Driven Beer Company, and with a car theme, and they're estimated at completion to open in summer of '23 also. And so that will be something. And then he's looking for a restaurant still, and he may be having something, but this is for sure. He has plans to get drawn up, so to speak. Okay, next. This here is a Union Bank corner on Alondra and Bellflower Boulevard. There's a grassy corner out there that has been there for like 10 years. That was kind of deeded to the city of Bellflower to do something with, and it was contentious for a while. What do we do? Put a monument, put art there, add more parking spaces for the bank and the center because it's parking poor. And anyway, we landed on this. Since the downtown is doing so wonderful, we thought we got a grocery store down there now. Let's give them some help and maybe a sign, a little reader board that tells what things are going on and what's going on, like the farmer's market, down there. Okay. And so that's getting ready to start construction. And this there is Bellflower Connect, where free wireless through the whole city of Bellflower. It's supposed to be completed in a couple of years. Phase 1 is in the center of downtown. Thank you. Phase 1 would be downtown. Well, that's where we want the people to come, right? I guess it's it's smart to start there, and people get their free Wi-Fi and move around instead of being in business or whatever. But that's huge. And eventually the whole city will be on wireless, so you'll be able to get wireless instead of your cell phone. This here's a future EV charging station. Design, our vision is going between City Hall and the library and that park blocks over there. And we'll get that put in, state of the art. And it's not your slow boat charger, it's the fast charging station to get, charged fast. Because basically, if you got a slow one, that car's just in a parking space all the time. It just eats up parking. And moving along, Farmers Market is pretty cool. We actually moved it to the Town Center Plaza, which is straight over there behind Ham Bones and the Comedy Club. Over there, it was in Sims Park for a decade or two, and we ended up moving it here, and now we have more vendors and more energy, longer hours, and the atmosphere is better, and a small waiting list to get on if somebody decides not to be there. Ribbon cuttings in progress, farmers market, and such. Programs that, the COVID assistance and CDBG, we took some of that money to help people that were struggling. Small business grants, we used some of it. We actually got small businesses that are in town. We did 15 of those loans, got them some money. Homeless shelter, we did a meals program over there with that money. It's kind of restricted money, so you got to do certain things with it. Emergency resident rental assistance, and we completed that. 13 households were held. Unfortunately, there's not always enough money to go around. Food and security program, we completed that, so 15 households over 6 months. And in progress still is our local community for 14 nonprofits for providing services for the seniors and families and children. But that's what we've done with some of that special money that we have that's restricted. Programs, we got a 37 Oaks University program online. And I believe our graduation class just graduated on that, or is in the process. And then we have another one that's entrepreneurial training in Spanish, and it's basically to go after people that have a home business, and you want to take it to the next level, get your business to a brick and mortar place and whatnot. Other programs we're doing, small business microloans to help businesses out, post-pandemic stuff. Downtown arts and manufacturing pilot program where, somebody may want to come downtown and do some manufacturing of their arts or wares that they do and sell them in the front of the store. So we're allowing that because, our downtown, we never did manufacturing, so we do a pilot program to see if some of that traction. The reason we're thinking outside the box, because we're never going to get any of these big corporate world stuff that you see in Cerritos or Lakewood or Downey. We are unique here, we go after different things. And we learned a decade ago that that's what we have to go after. So that's why you see the unique mixes out here. Other communication outreaches, we have an electronic e-citizen, which is a newsletter that comes out, and just go on our website and you can, tell them to send it to you. It's real simple with your email address. Same thing with Bellflower Quarterly, open for business. It actually comes out of the Economic Development Department. And then bellflowermade.com is another type of business connect thing. So it's a little outreach for things we do. What's next coming? We want to complete that broadband that I told you about and promote the downtown Bellflower, which is going to be a lot of promotion for a long time here and there after I'm gone. Seek grant funding, various programs, continue to work with community housing development and construction of the Butterfly Garden Park and complete construction of the downtown gateway sign that was down the street from me today. Public Works, this is something that's close to my heart because I work with my hands every day. And I really got it into these guys that are wearing shirts and stuff. But they did a project at Brothers Park, that's over by the Riverhead, 91 freeway. And that is a reservoir. We actually dig up all the grass, dig a big hole, kill all our big trees that we had there for 30 years, to put this little blue thing in there, which is a giant reservoir. And what it does is capture water from the riverbed, and when it rains, because you've seen the riverbed flowing, it fills that whole reservoir up. Well, that reservoir is designed to leak, and it leaks and percolates into the ground, and for water percolation for our well water that's down there, instead of going to the ocean. It's the new thing. 10 years ago, if you're going to build something, you have to, all your parking lot water has to run in some kind of a gravel pit to do that. This is it on a really big scale, other than that. And then when that happens, the park comes, as you can see right here, you get, brand new playground equipment and whatnot. And that's what it looks underground, these big concrete things put together. And it won an award, it's called the Best Award, and for the design of that, and we carry that proudly. Citywide slurry project. I think our residential streets are better than any other city. I drive a lot, and it's like all the cities don't pay attention to their residential streets, but all the main streets are good because that's where people see. We have a program that's been going on for decades that the whole city gets slurry sealed in the residential area with the new slurry blacktop every 7 years. So every year, 1/7 of the city gets done and is applied. In 2020, 129 linear feet. Well, that don't mean crap to me. But where I was going with that, I got excited. 24.5 road miles. Does that mean something to you? 30 minutes without traffic. That's how far it goes. But that's where I wanted to go with that. And the tons that don't mean nothing to me either. But anyway, it's a good stat for the. They got any bean counters out there? There you go. But anyway, this is one area. This was all done at the north side of town. That's the Bosco's football stadium there and whatnot. And then the Foster Road section. This is the other section. So they're pretty big sections. Not a Kaiser area. And a little bit more south of Kaiser there. Anyway, let's move on. This here is the other addition to Bellflower Boulevard south of Artesia, in front of the Exchange, in front of Bellflower Development and Sonnenberg. But anyway, this is an island. This is an artist rendering of doing an island median in the street. That's probably the widest street the city has over there, so it really can take it. And we want to make it a little prettier over there. We have some developers that invested in our town, to do something that's gonna look pretty nice, well, let's spend some money, Bellflower, and do something to help them out. And maybe the other buildings will come along. Okay, this is rehabilitation of our artery streets. This is when you ever get caught and you see that big mess and they're grinding up the tar, and kind of grinding some away, they call it away, they lay some stuff down. This is, we did a Launder Boulevard at Foster Road on Clark Avenue. We did that, it looks good. And if anybody ever got caught, it goes past Kaiser. And if you're ever in that mess, it took a while because they had to, at the same time they do, anytime we do something like this, we do the curbs and gutters if they need it. Because we don't want to do the curbs and gutters the next season because we just put new asphalt down. We actually think that. And I don't think 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, cities weren't thinking of that because you go, God, they just put that street down, now they're digging it up. And I think we have a time frame. If we put a street down, you can't dig it up for like a year or something. That's like the rule. Yeah. Concrete. So we do a lot of concrete and gutters because the trees crack it. Everybody knows the trees crack it or whatever. And I think Bellflower does more of this concrete replacement than any other cities. Have you guys seen Long Beach? You need a 4-foot of asphalt berm going over the sidewalk to get it over. They don't take out the tree. They just got asphalt every year. but we don't do that. We do that. And we're going to continue to do this until we find that tree that will not crack concrete. We haven't found it yet. So if anybody you know of a tree that don't crack concrete, there's a suggestion box out there. Okay. This is the signal at Aldi's here at Harvard, in between Union Bank and Harvard there. And so has anybody got caught in this intersection? It's working now. It's all done. Anybody got any complaints about it? It's the most miserable intersection to cross, isn't it? How many times? 2, 3 times you got to cross in the 4 o'clock? But we brokered a deal with Aldi. Aldi wasn't coming without a signal. So, vacant building, traffic. It was a hard decision, but we chose the grocery store along with traffic. That's a true story. Okay, and we have another electric charging station. I think this is one of the slower ones. And it's at Sims Park. They got a lot of parking, so you kind of feel a slow one there. But that's all done and ready to go. Okay, anybody been around town and saw those vacant lots with the Kentucky white fencing? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? We have lots in town that I can tell you have been vacant for 40 years. 40 years of a lot that just looks like heck. Well, we come up with this idea, and these are some examples. Give you an idea. This one here, that was one of the 40-year lots. Got a little astroturf out here, asphalt or whatever. That's on the corner of Clark and Artesia. 40 years used to be a gas station when I was a little kid. But here's Woodruff and Artesia Place. This is on Blaine Street here. But it looks good, and we had to do, we send them letters and warn them this is going to happen. This isn't cheap, or we'll do it at prevailing wage and tax your property tax, put a lien on your property. What's next? We're going to complete the traffic signal improvements at Lakewood. I didn't get into that, but Lakewood's going to get several new traffic light equipment down Lakewood. Lakewood Boulevard, the city of Bellflower owns. Probably 5-7 years ago, we took it from the state of California, and they gave us a check of millions of dollars to take it because it needed maintenance. And so we did it, so we own it, and so now it's updated because the traffic signal there is like from the 60s. But that's something that we're doing. We're going to complete construction of that Butterfly Garden Park and complete our resurfacing projects throughout the city and renovate the Public Works Office. So the Public Works Office kind of works out of a trailer and never really had a nice building home. At one time they did it, but it didn't need to be that big. It just hasn't been expanded on in years, and we're going to give them some love over there and so a little bit of air conditioning because they work hard out in that street all day. And then we're also going to complete the Bellflower Boulevard rehabilitation. This is an area of Bellflower Boulevard going that way from Flower to Beach Street that hasn't been asphalted. in a long time. And it needs to be done to start an alligator quite a bit. And then we're going to do complete Sims water, storm water. I'll get into that under parks. That's another big one of those big giant reservoirs with holes in it that leaks into the ground. And then complete improvements of the Constitution Park. We're going to get into that. And right now we are Parks and Recreation. And community programs, we do a variety of things, adaptive recreation, junior lifeguard stuff. We have BREM, which is, we'll take the park to your street, where if you put a letter into the city or make a call, we have a trailer with staff and whatever. We'll pull right to your street and put some barricades up, and the carom boards get out, and balls and basketballs, the hoops, and let the kids just have at it all day there. And it's something we do. BREM stands for Bellflower Recreation in Motion. Okay, Veterans Memorial Award. We got an award for the nice Veterans Memorial that we have next to the Library Gardens Park. And we can also remember to honor our veterans. You can actually buy tiles to put in the ground, memories of memory, or someone you know that are in service. Just call the Parks and Rec department and say you want to be a part of that, and they have an application process to do that with a fee. Volunteer center activities. We want to continue the family assistance program, serving 830 families in need through the spring basket program, school supplies that we do out of that for every year we do, and coordinate Bellflower Looking Better, which is community yard sales, and we do that in sections also with that throughout the city. Special events. Every once a year when we do it, we have a day of shred, because everybody doesn't have shredders at home unless you have a business or whatever, but you can actually have a day to bring your stuff and we'll get it shredded for you. Home decorating contests of the holidays, summer street fest, everybody knows that. We get a lot of people there downtown. And dive-in movies is at the pool, and Friday night flicks are back here in the town center. So stuff that we do, and then this year we're having our Christmas tree lighting. Yes, I said the word Christmas. And we're having that December 2nd, 22. And that's very special to all the council and the kids. Draw lots of people, and it's pretty cool. Santa Claus comes, and we light that tree for him. As you can see the crowds out there. Also, the Bravo Awards are coming back in April, and it's been on a hiatus since the pandemic, so we're going to bring them back this year or next year. So we're looking forward to that. Fall winter brochure. This is mailed to every resident in the city of Bellflower and then some. Very informative brochure that lets every resident knows what's going on in our parks. Kind of a high-end brochure. It's pretty nice. It's like a magazine. This here is Constitution Park along with Thompson, and there's projects that are in the pipeline. If anybody don't know where Constitution Park is, it's across from our New Hope shelter on Cedar. It goes all the way off of Cedar, then goes south. That's right. We got new playground equipment coming, and along with a walking path. There's a walking path there. We're going to extend it and put some amenities in there, and make it look good. We actually removed a lot of stuff and took things away from there because we were having trouble with it. And the New Hope Center that's right across the street, we thought maybe that'll work, and yes, it kind of did. And then we, with law enforcement, we got a handle on it now. Put a, nice, beautiful fencing around it and whatnot. So now we feel safe to put playground equipment back into it. This one over here is Thompson Park. There's 2 circles out front. This circle's been done. It's more of a top lot, a smaller kid place. That's done. This, what you see up here, is going to go on this circle with new playground equipment for the bigger kids. Sims Park stormwater capture. This is similar to the thing that I talked to you about at Brothers Park. This park's going to virtually be closed for over a year. They're going to dig up the whole ball fields in the back, the grass is back there, and put that containment system in there for the percolation of the groundwater. And then we're going to get it, the whole thing's going to be replaced with AstroTurf, new baseball diamonds. The take on this is when you do something like that, everything comes back new, and it's a pretty cool project. And special money, and we're in partner with Caltrans, I think, on that one, is that right? Yeah, to do it, along with Crothers Park was Caltrans project, because Caltrans has to follow the same rules everybody else does. They have a lot of water on the freeways, well, that water has to go somewhere if they're not putting any containment, so that's where we get the water. Over here, this is the parking lot. Going to expand the parking lot over here. This is the grass area because we're going to need it. And the parking lot gets redone. This here is, I'll talk about the future. I'm going to have an artist rendering of that. That's going to be our senior and youth center. Brand new building from the ground up. Sitting right next to the women's club. Women's club's on the corner here. So we're going to do that. It's going to be beautiful. I got something to show you on that a little later. Estimated groundbreaking for this project is June of 23, and then the park will be closed. The park's offices are all over here in this area here, but that'll still be function as the headquarters for the parks. And here's the youth and senior center here. This is a video. I'm going to let you see it, and it's going to be amazing of this beautiful building. Pretty nice, huh? Groundbreaking in October of 23, and it's going to ground break after the stormwater ground breaks in June. $11 million project, 10, 11 million, something like that. It's funny, everything costs 10 million we do now. I remember we didn't even have 2 million to buy something. But this building you're standing in, 10 million. Parking structure, 10 million. Senior center, 10 million. It's like, wow. but we've done this, and this is here 3 years ago. I think this building's 3 years old. Parking structure is a year and a half old. So we're moving right along. But it's always nice when you can get something built and not have to use your general fund, even though we save it for the other stuff. Planning and building is our next department. Planning and building is where construction permits, you get your plans approved. We've issued 14 permits for self-certification. And what that is, if anybody's ever built anything, you have your plans, and you got to take them from the architect, and you take them to City Hall, and you have to get them approved. You have to look at them. That can take months, especially if you give them to them, you wait 2 months, and they get back, and you got corrections, and then you give it to your busy architect, and he has to fix them, and you take them back, it goes back and forth. But if the architect wants to self-certify and be responsible for his own plans, you just fill out the application and the affidavit, and you get to do it. And here you go, you can start building. The caveat is, when you catch something in the field, you just have to fix it and redraw it or whatever. And the people like In-N-Out's done it, McDonald's does it. All these big companies do it because they know how to draw plans. They build them all the time. And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, there's always mistakes. We're human. You just fix it and move on. So it goes there. It frees up the building department's time, everybody's time. Everybody likes it. We were one of the, I think, second cities in the United States that did this. It's pretty huge. I think it was in New York, somewhere in New York, state of New York was doing it. And so it's pretty cool. And the idea, Jeff Stewart floated that idea to us, like, what? Well, let's do that. We get beat up a lot on time it takes to get stuff approved. And with that said, we issued 964 construction permits. That means a lot of building's been going on. And this is unique. Accessory dwelling units, though the governor's wisdom says you can put a granny flat in your backyard if you can meet all the setbacks down. Well, there's 51 of them pulled permits to do that. So we have 51, small, granny flats getting built. Thought that was, a pretty big number because Bellflower, most of us have pretty big backyards, so it's not really tracking it. We want to obtain compliance with the vacant lot ordinance for 3 properties. That's what I talked to you before. And one was done as an abatement warrant. That means we just do it and put it on the tax bill. So there's 4 that got done this year. Planning division accomplishments, code amendment and business recovery program continues to allow outdoor dining. So in COVID, all the restaurants moved outside. We wanted to continue to do that and to help them survive a little bit. Also with that, I think I get ahead of myself, is it's right next one. For alcohol license, we have a fast track. You have a restaurant, never still sold alcohol established. Oh, I got to get in the game and do this. Business is a little rough, whatever, and we have a fast track to help them do that now. Adopt a 6 cycle of the housing element. That's some dry stuff that the state requires us to. This number right here, a big number down below, 37, 35. So we got 8 years to put that many residential units in the city of Bellflower. That's what they want. I don't know where they're going to go. We're going to give it a try. We got 91 across the street. Say that building, it's a pretty big building, would you say? 100, say there's 100 there. We need 37 of those buildings. I don't know where you put 37 of those buildings, but that's the numbers that I kind of like to come up with an analogy. And anyway, that's the state's wisdom. Issued 644 new business licenses, which is pretty cool because we have new businesses in town. Yes, some of them could be contractors coming from out of town. That's when we don't see that many storefront businesses. The process entitlements of major development projects, including the Edgeway by Serrano Development, which is right behind us there. The Gold Property Development, that's where Sonic Burger is. And the Kaiser Permanente Radiation Ecology. I don't know if you saw the construction over at Kaiser or not, but accolades to them. They're putting a new facility in there for that. It's awesome. And I got an artist render to show you a little later. Code enforcement cases, 843 open, 865 closed. I've done this a while. This is my 4th state of the city. I believe this is the first time that I have more closed cases than open cases. That really tells me that we're doing something. Code enforcement of illegal cannabis grow house on Artesia Place that we shut down not too long ago. Ironically, they're growing right across the street from one of our licensed cultivators and distribution places. He's getting beat up for smelling cannabis all the time, so you got to do something to it. Well, then we decided, we found out that's where most of the smell's been coming from. So we did that. But you see this number down at the bottom, $634,000? We're going after them for the sales tax they owe us. So our ordinance is written that if you come and grow marijuana or you sell marijuana, we have the law that says you owe us a tax. So with the canopy, we just, figure out the canopy, and that's how we base that on. So we took all those plants and threw them away, but they still owe us a tax. So we'll see if we ever, it's a shell game with these guys, and see if we can track them down and find somebody with some property with a lien. Moving on, code enforcement before and after. This is a lot of cars in the driveway, and not so much anymore. We have overgrown vegetation and that. This house is just like 3 houses down here on Belmont. And then we have an open area, and then we have the white picket fence that takes place. So that's the kind of stuff you do. This here is before and after. This is an asphalt problem that we had, and we got them to restripe and slurry seal it. This here is code enforcement. This is downtown. There's a lot there, gentlemen. We let them off the hook because they had plans in plan check to build something and have a brewery and rooftop bar there. Well, now they got it all done and entitled. They decided they want to sell the project with entitlements. Okay, you want to do that, but we need to get it looking like that. And so they did. We asked them. They did it. They had it done probably in 2 weeks because we wanted to get that done before the car show hit, and we were able to get it done. That's before and after. This here is our new suit and tux shop across the street, kind of down where the old Johnny Rebs used to be. This is the exterior improvements that we helped with. This is the Kaiser Permanente that's under construction for the oncology portion. And to Kaiser, when their hospital was there several years ago, it was sad to see them go. We didn't know what we were going to get left with. You know, and then they took down the one building and whatnot. But to their credit, Kaiser did a heck of a job in turning that place into an amazing outpatient type of hospital or doctor, I don't know what you call them, day uses thing. Because the difference between a hospital and that resident, you just don't spend the night. You don't have that, you can't spend the night there. And I know I'm taking a long time, but we have a lot to say. And that leads me into one thing. Back in 2008 or 2009, that's when I remember that Kaiser left. The reason I remember that is because hospitals, you don't pay property tax. Then they left. And that's when we were in 2008, we're crunching, we fired Skyline to save $250,000. We're doing, cutting corners, we're ready to shut down the pool because we want to get the gas bill back then. Well, then we found out that Kaiser all of a sudden had to pay property tax, and now we get $250,000 a year, most likely in property tax from them. I can't remember the exact number, but I knew it back then. But that's pretty cool. Moving on, what's next? The housing element, that's at 3,700 houses we got built in 8 years. Yeah, update the building code for the 22. Every once in a while you got to update that. Self-certification, we keep promoting that, and people like it. Establish the online permitting. So we want to go to online permitting, so you can just pull a water heater permit online, do the minor stuff like that, and plan check submittal and send it, because everything's going electronic. Public safety, this is our public safety where we have our parking officer, my mind's losing it, I'm not here too long. Transfer, this is the big thing here. I didn't want to say code enforcement because I'm excited about this. Code enforcement used to be under the entity of building and planning. And that department was headed by Elizabeth Corpus. And she did a great job doing that. But we wanted to try to think outside the box a little bit and move it. So we moved it with a substation and see how that works. So they're over there now. We promoted some people and we're trying to make man up and get some more staff there under the direction of Joel Hoffman. And so code enforcement's there. And with that, it may work because you have the community service officer. That's the word I was looking for. They're on the street every day. They're eyes. And the problem is, it's not a problem. It's something that's not identified. You said it. We have so many staff on the streets. See something, say something. You see that needs attention. That's broke. We need to do that. Well, that's where the eyes are. You've got these community service officers. They're out on the streets all day. And maybe they can interact with the code enforcement and kind of help a little ways. Southwest Patrol Security Services. We actually hired Southwest Patrol. They got these nice white cars, and they actually drive around the city all night. Go to our parks and check the parks and make sure there's nothing any people hanging out, because after you hang out, they get bored and bad things happen. So we do that. It's much cheaper than sending the black and white to them. So we started doing that. We're going to install license plate reader cameras at 9 key intersections where you enter the city. These are the things that read license plates, and they can read hundreds of them in a minute, or a second. So anything comes through. So if there's something in that main computer that's like could be an amber alert, or looking for a bad guy, or date somebody, these things will pick it up. And there's a delayed program. We got some of them up, but it's not all in here because we're waiting on equipment. Homeless services. This is our New Hope shelter. I want to thank Janice Hahn is here today because the county wrote a check for $1.5 million to help us with this when we did it. It's huge. So we got that, and we're doing a good job. And we got this when we entered judgment with Judge Carter. His name's getting around. We're the first in LA County to do it. And basically, this gives the sheriff some teeth, gives us some not getting sued. As far as, you know, the homeless person, you say, you either got to move on, you got to go to the homeless shelter, or you're going to come get in the back of my squad car. You know, I mean, that's basically what it is. And we still have struggles with that, but it's coming around. We really have faith in it. And then also we have outreach services, the city net and Kingdom Causes, that outreach to the homeless people, and see what they can get them to help and to explain what's going on. Homeless enforcement, here's some of the stuff. I don't gotta tell you what goes on out there. I'm sure everybody's seen it one way or another. And we just keep chiseling away at it. But see this truck? Oops, I did it again. This Ford truck right here. See the blue lights in it? You can roll up, be real stealthy. We put this SAOs in that, they'll roll up on something, and it's a surprise. Yeah, it's kind of neat that, you know, they surprise them, and then they're right there on you. It helps with enforcement. Neighborhood watch is a big thing. It's other eyes. Everybody knows what neighborhood watch is, where you know, your neighbors, you have meetings and you talk about what's on your block or a couple of blocks, and we're always looking for new neighborhood watch people. Traffic and enforcement. Anybody know this guy over here? Yeah. Sorry. I hear he's the top ticket writer in the county. May not be true, but anyway, very nice gentleman in Emerson, and he does a very good job in traffic enforcement, and we do that. But you always see him around. He's either, you know, hiding or he's writing, one of the two. Our crime statistics for Bellflower from started 2007. Okay, our 50th anniversary, 2007. Had a little money. We thought everything was good. Well, it got better. As you can see, a little, you know, it went up, started spiking around pandemic time, and kind of leveled off a little bit and spiking again. But that's our crime rate of apartment crimes. And but all I know is it's better than it was. That's pretty cool. City clerk's office. This is one of my best friends here, and a lot of my colleagues. She's the one that keeps us square with the FPPC and like that. Well, there's reportings we have to do. There's things called 700s, 460s, and things. But she's on top of it. She makes sure that we're all notified. And if you haven't turned in by a certain date, she has, you know, must have timers that go off. But she's very good. Along with her staff in her office, very efficient. They're all in charge, and that's just me. That's why she keeps us counsel out of the other troubles. And then, but she, on top of that, she is there for the agendas of the meeting, gets those in, gets everything together, you know, gets our meeting packet delivered to us, records the meeting, does the minutes, tries to decipher a recording into typing, you know, which could be troublesome sometimes. But anyway, that department does an excellent job. And then she has to deal with the records. She's in charge of the record store, whether it's records that you got to keep or put them in a transfer them to electronic file, or somebody asks for a public records request. That she has so many days to turn that around and get there. But that department does an excellent job doing that stuff. That I know I don't like doing that stuff, but yeah, I like working with my hand. I said that earlier, but that's not the handwork I want with documents. So she's also in charge of the Political Reform Act and ethics requirements. So every year we have to have sexual harassment training and then ethics training. That's ethics, I think, is being, you know, bad, underlying, or not reporting monies and stuff like that. But we do that every year. Once we swap one year, and then, you know, we're Sacramento made these laws for us to do this, and Sacramento don't have to do it. I don't understand that either. But that's a story for another luncheon. Election announcements. Yes, we're having an election this November 8th. Districts 1 and 5 are having their election. Whatnot, and information in the city clerk's office. There's a picture of our beautiful district map. As you can see, you don't really see any gerrymandering there. Gerrymandering where like this guy might have a lake that goes all the way to the District 4 over here. But we wanted to all have Bellflower Boulevard in the center of our town. And as you can see, it's pretty much is, and then all have pieces around it. And so that's what we did that way back then. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks for being patient. Get on with your day. I think I did a little longer. I practiced twice and timed it twice, and I think this is a record. But thanks again for taking time of your day. As you can see, we have a lot to say, a big story to tell you. I hope it was worth sitting here all that time. We got a lot of things going on, and I just can't wait for the next year, the new mayor to come up here and tell you all the stuff that got done and all the stuff that's in the pipeline. So thank you very much again.